Okay, so here we go with another unboxing. This is the final chapter of Aquapalooza, and I've got something special today. It's Superpowers Aquaman from DC Rebirth. You can see here a little sticker. It says Aquaman DC Rebirth. Uh, on the cross-sell artwork, it just says Aquaman. So sometimes you got to read this little sticker on the back to figure out what the official name of the character is. I figured that out. So we're going to open them up. This is going to be the last part of Aquapalooza. The last of these Aquaman toys that I've had just kind of sitting around waiting to be opened. But we're going to lead into something else because I've got a whole bunch of superpowers left to open. So this guy will probably be the next guy, which is Sinestro. Pretty excited about this one. This is one that I actually have wanted since the 80s. So my favorite kind of Mcfarlane superpowers figure, the ones that they should have made back in the 80s, but never got around to for whatever reason. So besides that, I've got Batman of Zur-En-Arrh and Justice Lord's Superman, and I've got the new Mcfarlane Batmobile. So we're going to be opening all of those up. And you can see behind me in my usual place where I stack figures that I'm planning on opening soon, I got that Flash Gordon figure. Which character is it from Flash Gordon? Some of you already know because you probably saw me post about it on Facebook. But maybe you might be able to read the package from all the way over there. Where is it? I get confused with the mirror sometimes. If you zoom in on it, you might be able to see it. I don't know how well it's coming across on the camera. So, like most of the Mcfarlane Superpowers figures, it comes on a package that's based on the original Superpowers packaging. It's not 100% identical, but it's close enough. I'm pretty sure the original Superpowers collection, it said Superpowers Collection on there, for example, but these just say Superpowers. And it's got the more modern Aquaman logo on there versus the 1960s Aquaman logo that was on the 80s figure, because he used that logo for a long time. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that the illustration of Aquaman that was on the 80s package was in the same pose as this one. So they did find a figure where he was in the same pose. Even though you can tell it's the more modern post-rebirth version of Aquaman. He's got that gold collar, he's got the longer hair, he's got the beard. He has no trunks. They put a little more black shading onto his leggings, though, and his gloves. So, yeah, let's go ahead and open this guy up. Now, I know a lot of people had said that they don't really like this Aquaman figure because of the long hair and the beard, and they would rather have a classic Aquaman figure. Well, good news. They did a classic Aquaman figure back in the 80s, so you can probably just, find that one on eBay. I mean, like, I'm sure they'll do a classic Aquaman at some point. But I don't really mind so much when they do some of the more modern versions of the characters. You can see, like, it was barely even glued over here. If it's one that, like, already exists in the classic line, because I can understand why you would want to do something a little different. So I get why, say, when they made a Green Lantern figure, they went with John Stewart first instead of Hal Jordan, because, well, John Stewart didn't get a figure of, superpowers back in the 80s. So here's the trident, and we can see that it has 3 prongs, because all you people had to whine about Zack Snyder giving Aquaman a trident with 5 prongs, which is what he had in the comic book originally. You complain about stupid petty bullshit, and then they make the characters less accurate to the comic book now. So thanks, anti-Snyder haters. It's like they just want to hate on the guy. like there's this recent thing with, like, the interview with Joe Rogan, and they keep taking, like, a lot of the stuff he said out of context and just being like Like he'd said something to the extent of what it sounded like to me. He said was that if you make it so these characters can never be stretched beyond their boundaries. He's talking specifically about Batman and his no kill rule. Is that you're protecting your gods in a weird sort of way, and then people are like, well, Batman's not a god; he's just a normal person. He's like, he's using a metaphor, guys. Like, he's not actually saying Batman is a god, literally, for one thing. And then people are upset because they're like because he said not to limit Batman in such ways. Like, I think that Batman is a character that he's pretty elastic. You can push him in a lot of ways. I'm talking about Batman in a video about an Aquaman action figure, but this is just what's on my mind. You guys are used to me just kind of free associating on this show by now, right? You know that's what I do. But yeah, it's like do I want to see Batman running around killing people willy-nilly like the Punisher? No, absolutely not. Do I think Batman should hold life as something that's sacred and try to preserve it, like, in any chance he can? Yes, of course. Do I think Batman should never kill, absolutely, under any circumstances? Well, I mean, I don't know. What's the story? Are you going to tell an interesting story with it? That's, to me, the more important thing. So, how does Batman react if he's put in a position where he has to take a life? What does he do? How does he deal with that? I think that's what Zack Snyder was saying. That's what it sounded like to me. To me, that's what he sounded like he was saying. But people just want to take it as him saying, "Oh, well, he's saying that a Batman that doesn't kill is pointless." No, that's not what he said at all. But you just want to interpret things in like the least charitable way because you hate this guy, and you just want to put him in as bad a light as you possibly can. Anyway, that's my rant about the whole Zack Snyder on Joe Rogan thing. So thank you for letting me indulge in that. All right, so let's talk about this Aquaman action figure now. So he comes with like I said, comes with a trident that no longer has 5 prongs because people had to be pedantic about that. Go look at the trident that came with the original Superpowers Aquaman. Tell me how many prongs that comes with. In fact, I'll do that myself right now. I will look it up on the internet on my computer here, which is going really slow. And Superpowers Aquaman. We'll wait for that. It's going so slow. We're just gonna have to wait for it for a little bit. But I'm gonna look it up. I'm pretty sure the original figure had 5 prongs on his trident. So there it goes. Okay. So and the trident is molded in this color that's, I don't know. It doesn't look like it's too metallic. It looks like it's gold, but it doesn't look like it's too metallic. It might have some metallic in there somewhere, but it's really subtle. So Yep, there it is. I see on here the original Superpowers Aquaman does indeed have 5 prongs on his trident. So we were robbed of 2 prongs because people wanted to be pedantic about what his trident looked like in the Zack Snyder movies. So read some comics. Alex Ross painted it with 5 prongs because he knows it has 5 prongs. Anyway, so let's go over the articulation. So his head rotates from side to side, does rotate all the way around. It is just simple cut joint. Most of these joints are going to be simple cut joints. All these joints actually are simple cut joints. He has long hair, but it still, you still can get the head to turn all the way around. It does kind of rub up. I wouldn't suggest doing it too much because then you'll get paint rub at the bottom of his hair. So I do think that they probably could have done a better job sculpting this beard, because it does just seem kind of flat and lacks some detail, and it almost more looks like they just painted a beard onto his face, which, maybe they did. I don't know. It could just be like thick paint. So the arms rotate all the way around at the shoulders. There we go. This is an old school action figure, so he's got old school articulation. Leg moves up about that far, leg moves back about that far. If you want to do the splits, that's about the only way he can do them. No torso articulation whatsoever. He does have some knee articulation and pretty good range of motion at the knees for a single joint. And of course, back in the 80s, it was unusual for action figures to have knee joints anyway. So bonus on that. So, and of course, the original Aquaman, you could squeeze his arms together and it would make his legs kick as if he was swimming. So it was the same power action that the Flash had, only they called it swimming instead of running, but it was basically the same thing. Oh, and for those of you who want to see him up against his arch nemesis, Black Manta, that's what he looks like next to Black Manta. Even though this is a more modern version of Aquaman, being the Rebirth version, and this is a very classic version of Black Manta being in his superpowers colors. So he's Blue Manta, but whatever. This figure is very hard to find, and I was lucky I was able to find him at Walmart for retail price. Hopefully he'll get re-released at some point. I know they're putting out an all-black version of Black Manta, which I would like to have that one too. Because I would like to have a Black Manta that's actually in black. That would be nice. So he looks pretty bulky to me for Aquaman. Like, I'm used to Aquaman being a little more lean. Let's compare him to some of our other superpowers figures, since I have some handy. And here he is next to Superman. And I believe that the sculpt of Aquaman is based off of the same sculpt of Superman. The torso, the musculature of it looks very similar, with these big pecs and this kind of thick barrel chest. Although it's not the same mold, obviously, because Aquaman does have the scales sculpted into his shirt, as he should have. They didn't just, repaint the Superman chest in orange. It's even though I think it's the same standard buck that they're using for that. It's a new mold. They just kind of sculpted the scales over it. The arms are very different though, because Aquaman's arms are much more straight, and Superman's arms have like a little bit more of a bend to them. And Aquaman has one gripping hand to hold his trident, and one bitch slapping hand to bitch slap Black Manta. So he can do that. No fists. Aquaman doesn't punch people, apparently. He just makes stab you with the trident or bitch slaps you. So that's how that works. I do think they probably could have done a little bit of a better job, like I said, sculpting this head. I think the beard could have been a little more thick and full. If you're going to give Aquaman a beard, he does look a little bit like my late Uncle Ken, which that's nice. So I don't know if anybody else would appreciate that, but I certainly did. It's like he looks a little bit like my Uncle Ken, so that's nice. And of course, since this is a more modern version of Aquaman, he does not have black trunks like the original superpowers Aquaman would have. So the main differences between that one and this one are the head and the trunks. But well, let's look and see real quick. I want to see how much like Aquaman is going for on eBay. Let's see, because I want to see if maybe he's an affordable price on eBay. If somebody wants to get a classic Aquaman. And if not, there's other options you could have too. Like, I'm pretty sure you could replace this head with a more classic Aquaman head. So that's an option that you have. Oh, Toy Biz did an Aquaman in the early 80s. It was crap. Or the early 90s, I'm sorry. It was in the early 90s. It was not a very good figure. Like, the first wave that Toy Biz did of DC superheroes wasn't that great. It was mostly like copies of the superpowers figures, but less quality. So, there's that. Okay, so let's see here. This guy is selling a loose complete Aquaman for $60. That seems a little pricey to me. This guy has got, well, we're going to do buy it now, and we're going to do price and shipping lowest first. I think that's going to be the best way from you. See if we can find an affordable classic superpowers Aquaman. That's acrylic stand. I hate when they do that. Oh, it's a stand only. Well, why isn't it Aqua? Why do you put Aquaman in listing then? It's a stand for anybody. Anybody can stand on that stand. So there's a lot of. There's another stupid stand. They've got this Aquaman selling on eBay for like 20 bucks. Okay, so I can see there is one vintage Superpowers Aquaman figure with paint rub on his crotch. So there's like a big orange spot on his crotch, and he's selling for $19.99. That looks like that's the cheapest classic Aquaman you can find. I'm seeing another Aquaman with paint rub on his crotch, and there's a third Aquaman with. What are you people doing with Aquaman? I've never seen a Superpowers figure with this kind of like wear on the crotch. Why is it Aquaman that everybody's rubbing his crotch? Stop molesting Aquaman. But you know, if you're gonna have paint rub, at least have it be where there's black paint, because that's pretty easy to match. Black is about the easiest color to match. It's either black or it's not. So so yeah, you can get a vintage Aquaman figure fairly affordably. It's not exactly what I would call a cheap Aquaman, but you know, about around 20 bucks I think is pretty good for a Superpowers. For a vintage 80s Superpowers, I think 20 bucks is good. But, you know, this guy, I found him at Walmart for $10. I'm seeing him selling on here for about 20 bucks. So if you're trying to get an Aquaman figure at this point, and you really want a classic Aquaman figure, you don't want the one with the long hair and the beard. I mean, if you're going to be paying $20 for an Aquaman figure anyway, just go ahead and get the vintage one and call it a day. So, you know, none of these that I see selling for $20 have the Trident, but you know, if you were like me and you bought movie Aquaman figures at Walmart for $1, you should have some extra Tridents. Let's see what this Aquaman looks like while he's holding the movie Aquaman Trident. It's a little short for him, but you know, I think it would still look pretty good with that vintage Superpowers if you got one loose that didn't have a Trident. I do think it's nice on this figure that he has the like I said, he has a gripping hand and he has an open hand, which is how the vintage Aquaman figure was. I wish I had a vintage Aquaman figure so that I could compare the two as far as, you know, the build of the figures, because like I said, I feel like this one's a bit more bulky and the old one looks a bit more sleek as far as like the musculature of the figures go. Anyway, this is probably one of the longest Superpowers reviews I've done on this channel so far, and probably because I went off on that little Zack Snyder rant for a while. Look, I'm not saying you gotta like Zack Snyder. I'm just saying, like, don't be crazy about it. It's like you people are so obsessed with the guy. Like I hated that Robert Pattinson Batman movie, and I constantly make fun of it, but I don't just like look for everything Matt Reeves says that I can take out of context and make him sound like a jackass. I bet I could do it. I bet he says plenty of things where he sounds like a jackass. I do make fun of the fact that he said he based his version of Batman on Kurt Cobain, because that's stupid. I don't think I'm taking that out of context, though. That is just stupid. So anyway, that's pretty much it for Superpowers Aquaman. Tomorrow, what is today? I always forget what day it is. Is today Friday? I believe, yeah, today's Friday. So tomorrow is Saturday, so I can do another video tomorrow. And I think tomorrow I'm going to open up Sinestro, because I've been waiting 40 years for this guy. So I think I can go ahead and open him up. I think I'm done waiting on him. So we'll have that, and we'll compare him with some Green Lantern figures and have some fun with that. Then we've got Zur-En-Arrh Batman. We got Justice Lord's Superman. We got the Batmobile. We got this mystery Flash Gordon character. Unless you can actually read, I don't know if you can read that. So I got a lot of cool stuff coming up to open. Really excited about some of. I got a lot of Superpowers on pre-order that hopefully will be coming in. You know, I got I pre-ordered him after I pre-ordered the Hal Jordan figure, because I just pre-ordered him as I found him on Amazon. But this is still the one that came first, go figure. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you like and subscribe. All fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this figure. Let me know what you think about Aquaman in general. He's I think one of the greatest of the DC superheroes. I mean, I grew up with Super Friends, so I kind of think of, like, you know, obviously, like, people talk about the Trinity with Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and like for me, Aquaman would be like the fourth member of that, because Super Friends, you know, and in the original Super Friends, they start out in the opening credits with you know, the world's four greatest heroes, and you know, it's Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman. They don't mention Robin at all. He's just kind of a hanger-on, I guess. They mention Wendy, Marvin, and Wonder Dog in the opening credits of Super Friends, and they don't mention Robin. I would be pissed if I was Robin. I'm just saying. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. We will talk to you next time. Bye.